John here, and back again with another review, and today we're going to talk about and review Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I saw in the theater. And I have to say, I did enjoy the film. Now, is it not without flaws? No, I do have some problems with the film, which I'll talk about in this video. So I'm not going to sit here and say this is a perfect movie or, you know, by any stretch. But like I said, I did enjoy the film. I had a good time, and it was just so nice to see, some heart brought back to this franchise, considering just how god awful the 2016 reboot was. And, I hate that movie. I did a rant on it last year. It just wasn't needed. It wasn't funny. And it took a big steaming shit on the property. And like I said, I did a rant on that last year. My feelings on that reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it. They're all in the same family. They're all riding in the same car. So reboot, remake, continuation, whatever term they want to throw out now. But this film here, its heart was in the right place. And like I said, it was just nice to see, some heart back into the franchise. The cast here. I mean, the main girl, Mckenna Grace, which you find out that she's the granddaughter of Egon Spangler. I thought she did good. I thought she did a good job in the film. She wasn't irritating or annoying. I thought, she did a good job. The kid from Stranger Things, Finn Wolfhard, which I've never seen the show, but I thought he was solid here. Good support. Paul Rudd, I thought he was good support. He definitely brought some charm to the film. Even though you could say Paul Rudd, he's not in the film too much. And that's one thing that, like a nitpick. I wish that Paul Rudd was in it more. Maybe if you had which I know this film here, it's more about the kids. It's more about their adventure. The main character discovering who her grandfather was. And I get that. But maybe you could have evened it out where, Paul Rudd can still be the teacher, the mentor, but maybe he can lead the kids. He can sort of be, the leader throughout the film. Kind of, to bring a little bit more, adult to the movie. But Paul Rudd's still good. And, as far as the rest of the cast, there's a couple of other characters, honestly, I could have done without. I did not care for the podcast character, and that's not the kid's fault. But, maybe it's just direction that his performance was a bit forced. Like he's trying to be, he's trying hard to be a young, race stance, and just doesn't really come off well. Again, just felt a bit forced. You needed a different kid actor that could bounce off and click with Mckenna Grace. Because I thought Mckenna Grace was good, but the podcast character I could have done without. The whole angle in the film where the Stranger Things kid, his relationship with this girl, where, he wants to go, he's trying to get to know this girl. I didn't care for all that. I know that it's pretty much fluff. It's a 2-hour film. They're trying to fill in time a little bit. But I didn't really care for that whole angle that much. The mother was fine. Of course, you have the original cast in here, which they come more into play in the third act of the film. The presence of Harold Ramis is missed, but his spirit is felt throughout the movie. And that's one thing that was really noticeable that I really appreciated throughout the entire film, was that the presence of Egon Spangler was pretty much there, again, throughout the film. And I just really enjoyed that direction. I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. that the spirit of Spengler is there and it's respected and it's felt. Directed by Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original and the sequel. And, I thought Jason Reitman, which I know his father, also worked with him on the film here behind the scenes, kind of like consulting. And I know that Jason Reitman included some real life aspects to the story. That maybe he had a rocky relationship with his father, so, that is where you get into some of the plot here, where there's some family friction that Spengler had left the team to go, move out to the middle of nowhere, to this spooky house and, to get away from his family, which doesn't, sounds like the opposite of Egon. Like, you can't imagine Egon being that type of person. So that's one thing that I wish maybe Jason Reitman would have toned down on. Like, I get you want to include some, you know, uh, real aspects here into the film. And it does get better because as the film goes along, and by the time you get to the third act of the film, it sort of wraps up, where the things I mentioned about the family friction, they tie that up in the third act, where there's a moment of embrace, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. So it does get better as the film goes along. But maybe that's one thing that I would say with Jason Reitman, which I haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff, but maybe he could have taken a step back on maybe that a little bit. The setting, the small town, which I wasn't sure about because I was so used to the city. But I like the small town. I mean, I like the small town aspect, and the mother with her son and daughter. They move into this spooky house, and again, Spengler's presence is felt throughout the film, and then Mckenna Grace is starting to discover more about him, and he has like these little secret rooms and stuff, which I thought was cool. So, and then I like the town setting. I like that, kind of a smaller, more, trying to come up with a word, but more of a low key setting, I guess. But the score, you do hear some moments of like the score from the first movie, throughout the film. The pacing of the film again is 2 hours. And yeah, I mean, I can talk about that. I mean, maybe you can probably cut out some of the fluff again between the Stranger Things kid and this girl that he's dating in the film. Maybe you could have cut out some of that stuff there. And it's like, yeah, you could have added, more Paul Rudd, cut out some of the stuff between the Stranger Things kid and this girl. Utilize Paul Rudd more. Because I do like Paul Rudd, and I think he definitely helped the film. Again, brought some charm to it. And so, I mean, and basically throughout the film, again, Mckenna Grace is discovering these things. They unleash them, they unleash, some of the ghosts and stuff, and that it kind of ties to the villains from the first movie, which I know with this film there's a lot of references. There's quite a bit of callbacks to the original. And, as far as the original cast, Dan Aykroyd does appear in the second act. And then by the third act, where you have the big climax, long story short, the main characters are trying to stop the villains here. And they're having a hard time getting the main villain into this trap and that's when the original team shows up. And now we're gonna, I'm about to get into some spoilers here. So again, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I would say skip the review. So basically, again, the original team, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, they show up in the final act, and they try to take out, the monster, and they get taken out. So the girl steps in, being the granddaughter, Spengler's granddaughter, she tries to, take him out. And she's starting to struggle a little bit. And that's where you see the spirit of Egon Spengler helps her with the proton pack. And, there you see the spirit of Egon Spengler. And I thought the way that was handled, the way the music, the score, and, seeing the spirit of Harold Ramis, I thought it was a really nice touch. The last 10 minutes of this film, the last 10, 15 minutes, with seeing the spirit of Egon Spengler and the music, and there's a moment where the original crew, they're trying to fight this thing, and they look that way at Harold Ramis, all three of them, and it was just a really touching moment. And it's a moving moment, and there's even a moment of, again, embrace, where the spirit of Egon Spengler hugs the mother, and turns to look at the guys. And again, I just really thought it was well done. I'll give Jason Reitman credit when it comes to, again, the last 10 minutes of the film. I thought it was really well done, really touching, and it makes you miss Harold Ramis. And I thought it was something that I was kind of expecting to happen. And the way it was done, again, it just really, really moving. And it's like, I didn't think they would do it, but they did it. They had Harold Ramis appear in the film, with the spirit. And then after hugging his mother, or the mother character, he crosses over. And again, I just thought that it was just really touching. So the last 10 minutes is really nice. And yeah, I mean, it would have been cool if the original cast had more to do in the film. I get that you want to focus on the kids here. They're more of our characters here in the film. But you could have utilized, these guys more throughout. I mean, I'm not saying they have to be in the forefront, but, give them a little bit more to do. But at the end of the day, I will say with this film, Ghostbusters Afterlife, again, while it's not without flaws, I still enjoy the film. I like the main lead, the girl Mckenna Grace. I liked the Stranger Things kid, Paul Rudd. I thought was good support. Again, even though I wish he was in the film, I wish that he was in the film more. Because I thought he played a good character that deserved more screen time. The score, hearing that score again was nice. The direction's fine. The setting in a small town I liked. There's a good blend of practical effects and, yes, you get some CGI in the final act. But, there's some good moments of practical. You can say there's callbacks and what have you to the original. But, this film here, I felt that his heart was in the right place. And, like I said, yes, I wish that the original cast had a little bit more to do. And that's that's kind of a nitpick. And yes, I could have gone without a couple of characters like Podcast. You could have come back, you could have cut out some of the fluff. the love angle in the film. Didn't really need. And, utilize the original cast a little bit more, utilize Paul Rudd a little bit more. But I still like the movie. And again, I felt that it was made with good intentions. Its heart was in the right place. And, the last 10 minutes of the film was really touching. And it's like it was something that I was hoping that they would do, and they did it well. And really, you can bring a tear to your eye because it was just nice to see. And I'm glad they didn't have the spirit, speak, which would have been awkward. So, yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, I did enjoy the film. I thought it was a good movie, not perfect by any stretch, and I'm not going to say that. But, you know, it's like I think about the 2016 reboot and how trashy that was and how god awful, abysmal that film was. You know, to watch this and, especially again, I talk about again the last 10 minutes of the film. Uh, it's a sweet movie. And that's the best way to describe it. It's a sweet movie, and it's one that I recommend, and I will be picking up on Blu-ray. So yeah, that's my review of Ghostbusters Afterlife, and yeah, I mean, I recommend it. I mean, but that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.